How you doing, everybody? My name is Jacy.
And I'm Rebel.
And we are Redundant Reactions. And yeah, guys, it's good to see you again. Today we're coming back at you with another reaction. The Nutty Putty Caves.
From Facinating Horror. A great channel.
Yeah, that's the channel name. Yep, good call. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it. I mean, it seems like we do this a lot. Something I haven't seen and something Rebel has seen. But anyway, it's cool,
seems
man.
To be the method at this time. We're working on it. We might have the reverse at some point, but we're still trying to get certain shows up, and a lot of them aren't being past the censor. So we appreciate
Rick and Morty.
Watching the bits that we do get up. It means a lot to us. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, all right. So we're gonna get to it, guys. Hopefully you enjoy this video, and we'll see you in a minute. Here we go. The Nutty Putty Caves.
Oh yeah,
I like the name.
It's got a fun name. I want a name like that. That's for everything. Everything should have a fun, clever name.
Yeah, I always come with good names.
At around 8 p.m. on the 24th of November 2009, John Edward Jones, an avid amateur caver, entered the Nutty Putty Caves just south of Salt Lake City in Utah.
Nice family.
Sounds harmless.
He was
the Nutty Putty Caves.
by a large group of family and friends. It was, after all, just before Thanksgiving. The trip was intended to be a brief adventure that they could share before the holiday. What it turned into was a living nightmare that would cost John Edward Jones his life.
Dramatic reading.
Cost his life, okay.
The Nutty Putty Caves were first discovered in 1960 and were named for the soft brown clay which lined many of the passages. The system consisted of dozens of rooms connected by narrow, low-ceilinged corridors.
Yeah, dude. Crawling into something like that.
Although it required a great deal of wriggling and crawling to navigate, it was considered a good cave system for beginners and was visited by thousands each year.
That's so crazy.
Those visitors could enjoy features which included the Big Slide, a room wherein the floor descended at a 45-degree angle. There was also the Maze, a confusing jumble of tiny chambers and tight corridors that were fun to explore and contained a hollow rock that was said to ring like a bell when struck.
Scary, right?
As supposedly beginner-friendly as the caves were, they weren't without issue. From 1999 to 2004, a number of people, including 2 Boy Scouts, became stuck in tight or narrow parts of the caves and had to be rescued by professionals.
Oh, no shit.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, man.
These incidents led to some changes in the way the cave was managed. After being gated for a number of years, the caves were reopened with a registration system in place. Groups would have to book online to ensure that cave management knew who was down there, and the caves wouldn't be overly crowded at any one point in time.
Don't get stuck in the middle.
That was the situation when John Edward Jones and his friends and family entered the Nutty Putty Caves on the 24th of November 2009. Amongst the group was John's brother, Josh. Between them, the 2 siblings had a great deal of caving experience. During their childhood, they had gone on numerous underground adventures across the state of Utah, although they had never before visited the Nutty Putty Caves.
I just wouldn't go in.
For almost an hour, the trip went well. The group crawled, scrambled, and inched their way through the caverns, delighted by each new discovery. At around 9 p.m, John found what he thought was the entrance to Birth Canal, a well-known stretch of the caves, so named because of how tight and narrow it was. The passageway which confronted John certainly fitted that description. He squeezed inside and wriggled forward. When the narrow crevice took a downward turn, he hesitated for only a moment. The narrow space looked as though it might open out a little bit further down, and besides, he was sure that he was in Birth Canal, a passage which he knew could be safely navigated if he just kept his nerve.
Oh, dude, he found a different part of the cave,
Unfortunately,
didn't he?
John wasn't in Birth Canal after all.
Oh.
Instead, he was wriggling headfirst down an uncharted tunnel in a different part of the caves. A tunnel that had never been charted, specifically because it was far too small.
I can already see what's going to happen, right?
Unaware of the danger, John crawled onwards, until he couldn't. When he realised he was stuck, he was head down in an almost vertical passage, the diameter of which was smaller than a front-loading washing machine. He couldn't move an inch.
Man.
John's
so he
brother
was going
Josh
down?
was
Straight
close
down.
behind
No.
him
But,
and
like,
soon
gravity was
realised
taking
something was wrong.
Getting more stuck.
When he learned that John was stuck, he first attempted to pull him out, but was able only to shift him a few inches. Realising that the situation was beyond them, Josh raced back out of the caves to fetch help, while another friend waited
That'd be
by
terrifying
John's
leaving your
side.
brother in there.
Right?
Within hours, rescue teams were on site. They were faced with an intensely difficult operation. It was now midnight, and pitch black outside the caves as well as in. The place where John was stuck was incredibly narrow, meaning that however many resources were available, only one person could get close enough to access him at any one time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right?
John remained as calm as was possible under the circumstances. Indeed, when the first rescue worker arrived on scene, he thanked them for coming and told them that he really, really wanted to get out.
Yeah, no kid.
Making that
Oh, man,
happen
isn't that
would
terrifying to
prove
see?
to be next to
Yeah.
impossible. Rescue workers attempted to drill out the rock around John, but were able only to widen one small part of the passage by a few inches, even after hours of labour.
Jeez.
Abandoning this idea, they rigged up a system of ropes and pulleys. Securing a loop around John's
That's what I was
legs,
gonna say.
the only part of him
like
that they
that.
could reach, they started the slow and painful process of hauling him out. At first, it seemed like this tactic might succeed. They were able to raise him a significant distance out of the vertical crevice in which he was stuck, although doing so caused John a great deal of pain. While they stopped to rest, a radio was lowered down to John so that he could communicate with his pregnant wife, who waited for him outside the caves.
Fuck.
At
the
this
story gets
stage,
deeper,
John had been stuck in place for 19 hours.
or more dramatic.
Almost an entire day spent upside down in a space so small that breathing was difficult.
Jeez.
Being upside down for that length of time is not a trivial inconvenience. It causes blood to pool in the head, where it can rupture a blood vessel or put so much pressure on the eyes that it causes blindness.
Dang.
It's real. It's
The
like,
organs
kill you.
lie heavily on top of the lungs, resulting in breathing difficulties and often unconsciousness. For some people, being suspended upside down for as little as 10 minutes can be fatal. John had been stuck that way for almost an entire day.
Dang, man.
Despite this, he remained quite calm. After several more pulls, he was high enough that he could make eye contact with one of the rescuers. When asked how he was faring, he said only, "It sucks. I'm upside down. I can't believe I'm upside down. My legs are killing me." At this stage, exhausted and in agony as John was, the possibility of escape must have seemed like a very real one. An escape from his confinement, medical attention, contact with his friends and family, all of these things were so close they must have been almost tangible to him.
And
It was
Scary, dude.
at this point that everything went wrong.
That everything went wrong. Oh no.
As the rescuers hauled once more on the rope, something gave way explosively. The rescuer closest to John was hit in the face and briefly knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
When he recovered, all he could see was dust and darkness. It took several minutes for him to orient himself and work out the terrible truth. John had slipped right back down into the crevice from which they'd been hauling him.
dropped him back in the hole.
What had happened? A stone arch around which the rope had been looped had shattered, and the next nearest bolt had pulled out of the rock, creating slack in the rope and allowing John to fall.
Oh no, man.
The bolt was what had hit the rescuer in the face and knocked him unconscious.
Dang.
And that was the only guy near him. Imagine being that hole, you fall.
The injured
other
rescuer
guy
the guy
there,
was
gets knocked
evacuated
out.
from
Yeah,
the
knocked out,
cave
you
for
die.
treatment, and a replacement wriggled into the narrow defile. They spoke to John but could get no response, and could hear that his breathing was laboured and shallow. Desperate, they wriggled down into the narrow cave to try and loop another rope around his waist, but became stuck themselves and had to be helped back out.
Got worse and worse.
A doctor was escorted down into the caves to assess John as best he could. The news was the worst that there could possibly be. John had passed away. Despite a day-long rescue effort involving dozens of workers, the confinement and the inversion had taken its toll.
The cave,
Right?
He was declared dead at midnight on November 25th.
Avoid them caves, you don't want to die.
Yeah, I mean, unless you really love it, I guess it's
His
a
friends
risk you
and
take,
family,
right? But
needless to say, were devastated by the news. John was just 26 at the time, fit and healthy, and with a child on the way. His loss in a cave system considered relatively safe for beginners was a shock to everyone.
Could you imagine being a beginner caver there?
It was quickly determined that any operation to retrieve his body would be impossibly difficult and dangerous. The landowner, appalled by the incident, initially wished to dynamite the caves, destroying them completely, but was dissuaded from doing so. Instead, the caves were sealed shut with a concrete plug, turning them into a tomb for John Edward Jones.
Famous tomb.
A plaque was installed at the entrance to memorialise the final resting place of an exceptional young man, lost way before his time.
yeah, young, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I would never do that. I would never go into the caves anyway, but
That was awesome.
to hear something like that, you know, or to watch something like that, that just makes it even more so that I won't do that, you know. But
And they
man,
tried to
that's
make it
tragic.
sound exciting when they're like, all these places to explore. I'm like, and Diane.
Right.
Like, it's...
Well, I mean, I guess the cave was explored and
oh,
it
yeah,
probably
up
was
to a
safe.
point.
It probably was
certain
safe,
parts.
but he went into a part that was not.
Well, that's the thing. Is it safe if there are parts where you can just... If
Yeah, it's not
Disneyland
totally safe
had
on
a
it.
ride that you shouldn't ride, but no one was around to tell you not to ride, that just didn't work
Yeah,
and
they
could kill
should
you,
they should
it wouldn't be
block off-
Disneyland, you know?
They should block off those spots.
Yeah,
that,
it's
so
if they're...
that nobody could get
It
to 'em.
has to be... If we can't manage it, I mean, if we can't keep you in places safe
Yeah,
and away from danger, well, then you can't go in it.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
that's
that's
why
just
they
the truth.
sealed it up, right?
Yeah, the reality is that even though we could probably have sealed just the section that he was in, the bad section,
It might be more.
yeah,
somewhere.
we don't know. Like, there's uncharted sections they've never even tried. Like, imagine, like, did you see the picture and some of that? They were showing the workers that were getting in there where they're sliding in, where they're touching their chest and
Yeah,
their back.
Yeah.
They're sliding in.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a normal part of the cave, right? And
Yeah.
where he went, it was upside down, and it was like.
And well, the part he thought he was going to go down was upside down. He would have gone straight down the birth canal. That's
Yeah.
why they call it the birth canal. Like you're going down a baby.
I see.
So it's the tube he was trying to go down would have been straight down.
That's why he was going down into it
Because he thought it was a different one.
It was a different one.
And
Yeah.
that one showed like the long one would have gone to a chamber down below, and it was a safe one. Everybody knew the birth canal. It's very tight, but it's straight down. It's very
Right.
scary, but it's safe in
Yeah.
the sense that if you know where you're going, because
Right.
you can get back out, because you could turn back around down below and get out.
Right.
Whereas that one had no turnaround.
Not me.
It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you're upside down in a V, basically.
Yeah, and you're stuck.
And you're just not going
And
anywhere.
gravity is working
Oh, yeah.
against you.
And people don't understand. If you've never put yourself upside down, or if you've never had to be held that way, you don't realize how fucked
the
up a
blood
feeling it is.
flowing that way,
Well,
yeah.
it doesn't take long before you feel uncomfortable, but it takes very little time before you go unconscious. And
Right.
then, as they said, like as short as 10 minutes can kill you. 10 minutes. The guy was upside down for a day.
That's right. Yeah.
And then they dropped him. I felt so bad about that. Like, imagine
was
being
kinda
there,
it, huh?
like you're in there, you get pulled up, you're looking at a guy in the eyes, and he's got you up high, and you're at, my legs are
We're
hurting.
getting to get there.
And
yeah.
then, bang, the lights go out, that guy's unconscious, and you're down in the hole
Back where
with
you
the
were.
force of falling.
right. So you
So you're
pinned you
wedged
even
more than
more.
ever. Oh, yeah, like he had to get wedged in there like never before, like way tighter than he was the first time. First time he crawled in and stopped. Second time he dropped and got forced in with the weight of his body.
Yeah, man, that's terrible.
Not to mention
Well-
smacking his head on everything. Yeah. Oh, we should probably wrap this
Yeah,
up, huh?
for real. Thanks, guys, man. I hope you
My
enjoyed
pleasure.
this. I don't know if
was
you've
a
seen it
pleasure.
before, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty. Well, I
Subscribe
enjoyed
to
it.
Fascinating Horror and to us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, both. Yep. Right on. So we will see you next time, guys.
Next
Bye.
time. Bye.